Cognitive behaviour therapy is a form of psychotherapy. It's one of the most popular, most in demand, most effective forms of psychotherapy available today. CBT takes the point of view that it's not the events in life that disturbs you, it's the beliefs that you hold about those events that disturbs you. So if you're thinking, feeling or acting in a way that you don't like but don't seem to be able to change, CBT looks at what it is that you're telling yourself in the face of that event. Change what you tell yourself and you can change how you think, feel and act. For instance, let's say there were three very similar yous, very similar age, similar background, similar experiences, all doing the same job, and you all get fired on the same day. Not every one of those three yous is going to feel exactly the same way or have the same reaction. One of you might be thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? There's a recession on. How am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to feed the family? What am I going to do? And that person is likely to feel anxious. Person number two might be thinking, how dare they do that to me? This shouldn't be happening. I gave them the best years of my life. And that person's likely to feel angry. Person number three, meanwhile, might be thinking, well, that's a relief. It's a bit unfortunate, but I never liked that job anyway. It's given me the push I need to go and find a better one. And that person will feel healthily worried, but also relieved. In each instance, the event was exactly the same, being fired. What changed was what each person told themselves. So if you're suffering from anxiety, depression, anger, what have you, we look at what you are telling yourself that's maintaining that emotion, and we look at ways to change it. Hypnotherapy is therapy in a state of hypnosis. Different therapies for different things depending on what it is that you want to achieve. We call hypnosis an altered state of consciousness or a trance-like state. But that's not as weird as it sounds, because you know how to go into an altered state of consciousness anyway, and you do it several times a day. Daydreaming is an altered state of consciousness. Nodding off, waking up, losing yourself in a really good book, concentrating at work. These are all altered states of consciousness. Your mind likes going there. It's a very comfortable place for it to be. A very nice thing happens to your mind in these altered states of consciousness. Your unconscious mind is the storehouse of everything you are. It's like the database of everything you have ever learned, everything you've ever witnessed, everything you've experienced, all your responses, your beliefs, all your images of who you are and how you operate are stored in your unconscious mind. In hypnosis, the unconscious mind becomes very, very susceptible to positive suggestions, especially when those suggestions are tied to a goal that you already know you want to achieve. So with hypnosis, we just layer in new information to help you deal with whatever it is that you want to deal with and be more who you want to be. When you come out of hypnosis, you start responding to that new information. Well, CBT and hypnotherapy both share a lot of common ground. They're trying to do the same thing, just from slightly different directions. Both therapies are concerned with helping you deal with your stuff. Both are concerned with helping you be more effective and rational and happier in your daily life. Both are trying to effect a change in how you think and feel and act by changing what you tell yourself. So they do gel quite nicely. In fact, a psychologist called Kirsch did research into both those therapies because he thought that they gelled very nicely too, and he found that when used together, both therapies are more effective and slightly more rapid than when either one is used alone. Together, CBT and hypnotherapy can be used to help with almost anything. Addictions, anxiety, panic attacks, phobias, psychosexual dysfunction, anger management issues, work-related stress, depression, weight control, stopping smoking. People will be surprised, especially with hypnosis, what can actually be treated. Hypnotherapy is actually very good in the treatment of warts, in managing skin conditions such as eczema and psoriasis. It's very good in the treatment of insomnia. If you're creative, if you're suffering from writer's block, it can help you get in touch with your creative self and get your drive back again. CBT is the newer of the two therapies. There's a form of CBT called rational emotive behaviour therapy that was developed in the 1950s by a psychotherapist called Albert Ellis. Another form, simply called CBT, which was developed in the 1960s by a psychologist called Aaron T. Beck. Hypnotherapy has actually been around for thousands of years. It was practiced in ancient Egypt. They had sleep temples. People who were suffering from ailments, from psychological conditions, used to visit the temple priests, be lulled into an altered state of consciousness and receive treatment. So in some ways, hypnotherapy is one of the oldest of all therapeutic practices. Why did I become a therapist? It sounds corny, but I wanted to do something that was a little bit more fulfilling. I was a journalist for 15 years. I'd grown a little bored and dissatisfied with what I was doing and just wanted to do something a bit more rewarding. Definitely. Whether you like them or not, a journalist never shies away from asking the important questions. They're very, very good at getting to the heart of the matter very, very quickly. I think that's a very important skill to have when somebody's coming into the therapy room, especially when they're offloading for the very first time. Also, journalism is a very, very high-pressured industry. It's considered, I think, in the top 10 stressful jobs that you can have. There are tight deadlines, there are unsociable working hours, people drink too much, they smoke too much, they've got too many issues such as anger. People who come into my practice will be presenting with conditions like that. I've got a unique understanding of them, probably because I've been through them myself. Do I specialise? The answer to that is probably somewhere between yes and no. In my private practice, if I think I can help you, I will see you for pretty much any condition that you're going to present with. But I typically see people suffering from anxiety, anger management, stress, confidence issues, psychosexual dysfunction, and addictions. However, I tend to specialise elsewhere. I've been a volunteer with Anxiety UK for several years, so I do like working with anxiety, and that includes panic disorder, panic attacks, obsessive compulsive disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder. It can include phobias, exam nerves. I also work in the occupational division of a healthcare company, and so I specialise there in CBT purely for work-related stress management. I also work in a hospital 1 day a week, and I specialise in pain control in the treatment of cardiac syndrome X and angina. So I'm using CBT and hypnosis not just to help them manage the pain, but to deal with the associated psychological problems that they might have around it. Well, on the first session, you come in, you obviously talk about your stuff, how it's affecting you, more importantly, what it is that you want to achieve from those sessions. I will talk about CBT, hypnotherapy, how they work separately, how they work combined, and more importantly, how those therapies can help you achieve what it is that you want to achieve. We'll probably develop a problem list. People don't usually come in with just one thing, there's several. So we'll prioritise those problems. In the next session, we'll begin targeting that first problem, and we'll begin working on it. We'll identify your unhealthy beliefs, we'll work out healthy versions of them, and we'll use a series of techniques that help you challenge your thinking, and we'll support those techniques with hypnosis. Ooh, what makes a good therapist? Well, knowing your stuff certainly helps, but I think also the ability to be confident without being arrogant. Also the ability to listen. Treat people as people, listen to them. People walk into your clinic, not problems. So don't treat the anxiety, don't treat the depression, treat the person. I think also, for me definitely, a sense of humour is very, very important. If you can help somebody laugh at their problem, then you've won half the battle. I also think you need to laugh at yourself. A lot of therapists can be scared or uptight. They're worried that they're not going to help, that they might make things worse, that they're not going to be good enough themselves. So I think the ability to relax and laugh at yourself is also very, very important.